So I am kind of a whiner while I'm doing the workout.
Yep.
Like I'm
And afterwards, it's great.
And then afterwards, I'm like, I'm a rock star.
Yep.
I did it.
Yep.
But I do I'm not that person that just is like, yeah, we're working out. That's Courtney. That's my running buddy,
Oh, yeah.
Courtney. She's like,
Yep.
let's go. We got this. I'm like, no, I hate it. I don't want to do it. And then when I'm done, I feel better. So we're live. All right. Hey, everybody. Happy Wednesday morning. It's a little cloudy outside. And speaking of outside, we are going to be talking about taking your gym outside, doing some workouts outside this morning. I am so excited. Well, I guess I should tell you, I'm Kim Martin, host of Healthy You. But I have some awesome expert guests with me today who are my friends and coaches for our I've Decided to Run and our I've Decided to Ride program. And I just thought it would be awesome for us to kind of do a little round table. It's spring.
Sort of.
Right?
So the calendar
Maybe.
says.
Yeah, so this is Michael Helgeson, and he and his beautiful wife, Dawn Helgeson, are our running coaches, and he puts together the program for us, and Dawn gets out and does a lot of the running with everyone. And this is Heather Fitzanko, and she is our expert cycling coach, just to make sure they know who you are. I want to make sure we introduce you. And so we're just going to be here today talking about why you should maybe think about doing something different. If you have never done a run program or never been out on our beautiful bike trails that we have here in Peoria, we have two great opportunities for you. And they're both beginning programs. And I'm looking at both of you, and I'm like going back and forth here, and I'm thinking maybe
We should switch sides.
I know. So I don't know where to start. I don't know where to start because the running program is coming up soon on Monday,
Yep.
April 9th. So you got the plan set for everybody, Michael?
I do.
So have you been thinking? Have you ever thought about running? Has it been something that you thought, man, I'd really like to do a 5K? That'd be kind of fun, but maybe you're a little fearful. So help us understand, Michael, why people should not be afraid to try a running program if they've never done it.
Right. So we're not going to go out and start running and run for a half hour the first day. These are beginning programs for people that may have not run a step in their life. And they've always kind of been interested in it, or maybe just thought about doing it, or have friends that do it. So we start out very, very slowly, 30 seconds at a time type running. So you run for 30 seconds, you walk for a minute or two, run for 30 seconds, so forth and so on. And that's all you do the first week. And pretty much anybody can run for 30 seconds at a time. Again, if you're not tearing off into a sprint, and
Right.
you're just taking it nice and easy, and that's what we make sure everybody does. 30 seconds is not that bad. And then maybe the next week, we'll run for a minute at a time and still walk for a minute or two at a time and slowly progress all the way up. And it's amazing in 10 to 12 weeks, the progression you can make. I mean, from really not being able to run more than 30 seconds without going, oh my gosh, I've got to stop and walk, to pretty soon you're running 30 minutes at a time without a break, or 40, 45 minutes at a time. And that's a full 5K for many people.
It is so awesome to see all of these people running for the first time. And so many of them, when they join, they don't think they can do it.
Right.
They have a lot of self-doubt. They're like, I'm going to try, but just not sure I can do it. But once they realize it's such a gradual, and everybody in the group are beginners.
Yep. They're all experiencing the same thing, so you have the support of everybody around you, and they all have the same doubts that you might have when you go into it. So it's great to have the camaraderie of the group and everybody experiencing the same thing as you go along.
Yeah, and you and Dawn are super passionate about the running and just helping people. You guys just love to help people and encourage them. You're on my list of encouragers. And I'm glad we're friends. So Heather, I'm curious, have you ever ran?
I did run in my 20s.
You did?
Yes, I
like
did.
consistently or?
Yes, I was traveling a lot, and so a pair of tennis shoes was easy to throw in.
Exactly, another good reason.
Yeah, and I didn't really, when I was a kid, you were talking about, like, we remember a gym and you had to run however many laps around. I had asthma when I was a kid. I never enjoyed it.
Right.
I never liked it. When I was traveling and I was running, one of the things is that's what the people did. and so I was with the people that I was traveling with. So that's what I was thinking when you were saying, and the same thing with cycling. When you do it with somebody else, the time doesn't seem to it's not as difficult. It's like driving your car somewhere by yourself or having a good friend next to you that you're talking the whole time. It's like before you know it, you're there. And so that's the cool thing about the programs, both cycling and running, is you have the motivation. You have people that are like-minded that are doing the same thing, and it's just not as difficult.
Yeah, and our ride program is starting up in May, and you can find all the information about the ride and the run at ivedecided.org, and of course we have Facebook pages, so if you're curious, if you're thinking, how do I get the information on dates and times in case we forget to talk about that, because I really want to spend more time talking about the experience, like encouraging you guys, if you're watching, to try something new, to take your gym outside. That's kind of our theme today. As I was talking in the very beginning of the show before we started recording, when you came in with us, I was talking about, I really don't love to exercise, which most people have a hard time believing that because I own curves and I run, and recently in the last few years started cycling too, thanks to Heather. But I've kind of got that to that point to where the motion follows the action. I know I need to, and so I do it, and I always feel better when I'm done. Right. But I kind of whine a little bit during the process. So that's okay. You can whine a little bit while you're cycling or running. So you have experienced running, though, Heather, you said. And so, but your sport, the one that you choose is cycling.
Yes.
And that's what you're very passionate about. Now, Michael, you've cycled. You do cycling. Are you still cycling?
Nope, not very much. I had about the same time you were running, I was biking.
Yeah, because I know you've done biking before.
Yeah, I did a lot in North Carolina because that was a little more conducive to a lot of almost year-round cycling.
Oh, yeah.
The roads didn't have potholes, things like that, so you could be out on the roads biking a lot as opposed to around here. It's a little more difficult, but we have great trail systems now. So
we do. We can run on them. We use the trail systems for running and cycling. But one of the things that a lot of people don't realize is the trail system that we have and how beautiful it is. And I talk to a lot of people who have said they go to the cemetery and then they turn around and go back because they don't know how to get through the cemetery, and they don't understand how to cross the Bob Michael, or they think they're like me. They are afraid to do that on their bike because they don't understand how to do that. But you take us all the way through, don't you?
Yeah, we experienced the whole thing. And I think I heard that they're going to create a new road through Springdale Cemetery, so we might have a different route.
yeah, you'll be able to kind of bypass Springdale. I believe the trail is going to bypass Springdale now.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Instead of going through
it's going to go across War Memorial. That's the only way to get we go under War Memorial now through Springdale.
Yeah.
And the path is now going to continue and just go over War Memorial, and then I'm not sure exactly where it's going to spit you out, but
we're going to do the hill anyway, though, because that's the big thing.
Are they trying to keep us out of that cemetery, you think, or
I'm not sure why.
There's no real reason, just that's the way they're going to do it? Because it's a hidden treasure. It's beautiful, that cemetery. I mean, to run through it and to ride through it, but there is a hill that we have to go through.
Which is the greatest success, I think, one of them, because there's some other challenges too, but I think that the people that ride with me, that they are like, yes, did Springdale, or, oh, we got Springdale coming, So
you're kind of, you're dreading it, because at first we usually start by walking our bikes up that hill, because it's kind of like going out on a run on the hills. You start out where you have to walk those hills because that's the harder part.
Yep.
And then we gradually, and then someone who didn't do it, by the time we're done with the 10-week outdoor training, they can actually get up the hill on the bike.
Yes,
Beginners.
So exciting.
These are beginners we're talking about. These are not, we have expert coaches, of course, but these are beginners that are participating in these programs. Okay, so we're taking the gym outside. Michael, why should people choose to run? What do you love about running, and what has it done for you, and what would you say? Why would you tell someone, hey, you should try this?
Well, again, it's like you said before about you don't really necessarily like to exercise, but after you're done, you feel great about it, you feel accomplished. So that's the immediate thing. There's an accomplishment, immediate gratification, if you will, after you're done with the run. So if you're not one of those people that just loves to run, and I'm a little bit in your camp, I love to train to achieve a goal. I don't love to just go run for pleasure, if you will. I have friends that will do that. That's all if they didn't have a car, they would be no problem. They'd just run everywhere because they just love to run. Now, I do love the aspect of being outdoors, and that's what this is all about. There's just so much freedom outdoors. You know, inside you have to run around the track, or you have to run on the treadmill or the dreadmill, we like to call it.
The treadmill, yes.
But outside gives you just a variety of freedoms, and eventually I think we're going to get sunshine, so you don't get that
Please,
indoors as
Lord,
well.
we need some sunshine.
And again, like I said, the trail system keeps you off the roads. The roads aren't bad in Peoria to run on, or even sidewalks and stuff like that, but the Rock Island Trail is just great, the paved part or the non-paved part.
It's so
just
pretty.
Yeah, it's beautiful, and again, offers all sorts of freedom. And group running, it's difficult to run with a big group indoors, or maybe you have your buddy on your right-hand side and maybe another one on the left-hand side while you're all on the treadmills, but that's not the same as getting 5 or 6 people together and going for a run together.
Yeah, it's
really
so
nice.
true, the
Yep.
group. And they build so many friendships.
Yeah.
The friendships that have been formed in these groups have been really, really cool. And the run and the ride are equal. The friendships are equally the same. In fact, did you see the picture of Christy and all them on the run group page? There's like 5 girls that met and started running through the I've Decided to Run
And they're
program.
still running together,
And
right.
they're still running together. And
Yeah,
they
that's
ran their
awesome.
first 5K. Yeah. And then Tina, the gal who actually won the 5K, she's gone on and she's about to run her second half marathon.
Right.
So that's amazing. And to run is pretty inexpensive.
Right. Like you said, so you need a good pair of tennis shoes.
Right.
And really, you can get by with just that. There are specialty running clothes that help wick moisture away and things like that, and that's somewhat important. But running shoes by far are the most important part of it, and that's essentially all you need.
Yeah, so it's a very inexpensive way to exercise. You buy a good pair of running shoes. You need some good clothes, but you probably got something in your drawer that you could start out with. And you hit the pavement and you take it slow. But that I think the reason why I would really want to encourage people to join the group is so that you don't go out too fast, too quick, because you can really get injured. And I think that happens to people, and that's why running kind of has like people think, oh, I can't do that, I have bad knees, or oh, I can't do that, I'm not strong enough. But we'll come back and talk a little bit about injuries and overcoming the sore muscles and things from running. But let's talk a little bit about the cycling program and why you think people should cycle, Heather.
Well, cycling is the benefit is a side benefit is that it's a healthy thing to do, but actually riding is fun and it's what every kid wants to do. And I had a little exercise where I was asking people for a while to tell me if they remember their first bike. And people, when they start thinking about it and they start telling about it, and then other people share, it's a joy. It is a rite of passage, like getting your driver's license. And
So true.
And
your big huffy bike with the big banana
bike.
seat.
And it is
remember mine.
just fun to ride your bike.
Right.
And then a side benefit is that it's healthy for you. And just being outdoors, you don't have to ride 40 miles. Just soaking up the sun, breathing the fresh air. There's scientific studies about the health of being in green space and stuff like that.
The wind in your face.
Yeah.
All that funness.
Yes,
It
you
is-
create
it
your
is
own
kinda
breeze.
Fun. I will. Yeah, you do.
When it's
create-
hot.
But you don't realize how hot you are, though. The
Right.
problem now when you're running, when you're sweating and you're hot, and you're soaked, and you can tell.
Yep.
The thing about the breeze, though, you have to be careful about is that you don't realize how much you're sweating, and you could get dehydrated really quickly
not even know it.
cycling because you don't feel as hot as you do when you're running.
Yep.
And so that's something that is true. That breeze just kind of makes you feel cool and you don't feel overheated.
Right.
So that's a lot of fun. Now, a lot of times people are thinking, yeah, but I have to buy a bike. And, that could start to look a little pricey. And well, thankfully, Bushwhacker is a business member of I've Decided, and they're probably going to give us some discounts and things to help
Most people have bikes in their garage and they can pump up their tires and they can get themselves out there, like that. So most people do have bikes that will get them somewhere. Now, just like having the better clothes and things
better
like
pair of
that, the
shoes.
better pair of shoes, having the right tools is going to make you successful in whatever you're going to do. So it is better to have equipment that is good for this type of thing. But if you have a bike just to get out there, that will work too.
Yeah. And you can go, well, I would agree. I kind of agree with you. I had bikes in my garage, but I lasted about 7 miles on one. You know what I mean? Like on a not so good bike, a short, less than 10 miles is okay. But once we start building
You
up,
start realizing that.
you real quickly go, yeah, this isn't going to work very long. You need padded shorts.
Yes.
A good seat.
Yeah. So, well, here, just to give you guys an idea, here's what happened. I bought a bike, and I bought a decent bike. It's certainly not at that. You can buy very expensive bikes. They are very expensive bikes. But we don't need to do that to start our I've Decided to Ride program. I bought a reasonable bike, a helmet, and a water bottle that fits down in the bike, and padded shorts. And I spent less than $500.
Oh, that's good.
And my bike is great.
Yep.
So it was over 400, but less than 500. So if you really want to buy a decent bike and you want to get some padded shorts and you need a helmet, you have to have a helmet. You can do it for about that price, and you'll be comfortable, and you'll be able to do the 20, the 30, or the 40-mile fully supported ride. So that's just kind of roughly what it is, and it costs you about, a good pair of tennis shoes will cost you somewhere between 120 and 180 bucks.
Yep.
And they're worth every penny of it.
Yep.
I'll never forget when I met Adam for the first time. I'd been running with Dawn, and we'd been doing the Tuesday and Thursday night training, and this was many, many years ago. And literally, I had blisters, my feet would bleed, I was losing my little toenail, the little baby toenail. I mean, like, it was horrific. Right. And remember, they were on Sheridan downtown, and that was a long time ago.
In Main Street, yep.
And I walked in to Running Central, and Adam was working, and I showed him my shoes, and he goes, well, your shoes are too little. I'm like, they're the size shoe I normally wear.
Yep.
He goes, you need to go up a size. And then he fitted me. He looked at the shoes that I was running in, and I've been running in the same Sauconys for that was probably 9 or 10 years ago now. I've never changed shoes. I just walk in and say, I'll take the same pair of shoes that you see on your computer. And I've never had another blister since, even after running a marathon.
Right.
So the right shoes, and
Difference.
I pay $160 for my shoes, and it's worth every dollar.
Yep. And brand doesn't matter. Everybody asks what's the best brand of shoes, and frankly, they're probably pretty close to all being equal as far as durability and things like that. It's whatever fits your foot the best.
And everybody's foot is different. Your foot is
completely different.
So I tell you all of that because you might have went out to try to run before, and you're like, my hip hurt, my knee hurt. It hurt too bad. I can't do it.
Yep.
And it may not be that you can't do it. It might be that you don't have the right shoes.
Yep. Yeah, and the size up thing is especially important. If you're normally a size 7, especially women seem to have a little bit more of a problem with this.
Right.
If you're size 7, you're probably going to be in a size 8 on the running shoe. And you just have to get over that number because it means nothing, absolutely nothing. Nobody sees your feet and thinks they're
You
huge.
just want your feet to be comfortable and you don't
Exactly.
want to have any issues.
Exactly.
And, I have to buy a new pair of shoes about every 3 to 4 months. I wear off the back side because of how I run. I wear off the back side, and so does my running buddy, of the shoe. And as soon as that happens, my knee starts hurting. And I'm like, need a new pair of shoes. And for Courtney, her hip starts hurting. And she's like, yep, need a new pair of shoes. Go get a new pair of shoes, put them on. You don't hurt. And I think the same is true with having a good, comfortable bike seat, right?
For sure.
So thinking on your bike seat. So maybe you've got a bike that you get on and you make it 5 miles and you're like, can't walk because
Having the handlebars in the right position and the seat in the right position will definitely affect maybe your shoulders hurting or.
And there are gender-specific seats too, right?
Yes,
is that right?
there are.
Yeah.
absolutely gender-specific seats. And so if you've got a bike in your garage, like Heather said, and you've tried it, but it's uncomfortable, or you're like, I can't do it. All bikes are not made the same. All seats are not made the same. You can get a more comfortable seat to ride with. And so I just, I love the fact that if you haven't ever tried an exercise program, this is perfect. You don't have to go join a gym.
Right.
You can do something outside with a group of people and try something new. And you guys go, and I want to say this too. A lot of the people from our program go on to your next program.
Right. So we have through Running Central, we have a 5K and 10K program, and a lot of the graduates from the beginning program, I've decided, come and join our 5K, 10K program in the next session. We have 12-week sessions pretty much year-round. We're just about ready to start our second session on April 16th, I believe it is, and then that'll go for 12 weeks, and then we'll have another one right after that. So. It was nice to see a lot of the graduates come join our program, and then not only are they running their second 5K or third 5K, they're running a 10K, or then there's another program that's a half marathon and marathon program through Running Central, and they'll eventually get there, some people, because that's what they like to do, is even longer distances.
And maybe you never run again. We
that as
actually
well, yep.
remember. Did you meet Melissa at the conference? Melissa, we had a gal that did the running program, and she said how running helped me to start blogging. And so
right.
what she said was, when going through the running program for her, she got to the end and she thought, I did not enjoy it. It's not something I want to continue to do. But what happened was, she said, I realized I could do something hard.
Oh, that's cool.
And so she had been a blogger, but she had never really put it out there for people. It's a fear. It's kind of scary, right? You want people to read it. You don't want to feel rejected, or you're like, oh, it's not that good. Yep. But it encouraged her to do that, which was so cool. It was a great story.
With the running program and with the cycling program, like you said, we start small, and we're pushing you just a little bit past your discomfort. And that's what you said. She's doing something hard. And that is why these programs work, and why is because your body is capable of so much more than you give it credit for. And no matter how out of shape you think you are, yes, it can recover, and it can do so much more than we make it do. So just push yourself into your little uncomfortable zone, and every week, every day, and you will see it do marvelous things.
Yes.
It's a mental game. It's amazing what your mind controls. There's actually a study with elite athletes running on treadmills with a screen in front of them, and they didn't know what they were looking at, so it was all subliminal things. And one of them was just a bunch of faces, frowny faces, basically. People frowning, people crying, and then the other one was basically happy faces. And these were elite athletes, and they were basically to run to exhaustion, run as fast as they could until exhaustion. And the ones that were looking at the subliminal happy faces ran further. And it was consistent throughout the whole test group. It was amazing. And that's just, they were in a better state of mind.
Right.
They were seeing they were thinking happy thoughts naturally.
Yeah.
And it's just amazing what your mind controls.
Is so cool.
That is so cool. And it happens when you're out, when you're doing any kind of exercise. As soon as your mind starts spiraling, and you just, you start going, I can't do it. This is too hard.
Yep.
I'm tired. It's too hot. It's gonna rain. I don't whine like that.
I'm not saying nothing.
So you just you can do it, and your mind starts spiraling out of control, and you got to reel that back in. You can't. You've got to focus on you can do it. Not that you can't. It's not that hard. It's a hill you're going to make it up it, and that self-talk is so important. Now, I know some people watching might just still be thinking, yeah, but you don't understand. I really physically don't feel like I could run. Maybe you have had knee surgeries or something, and your doctor has said absolutely no running. That's where cycling comes in. And that's one of the beauties of cycling, right?
Right.
It's low impact.
Low impact. Yeah.
People who have really bad knees who can't run can cycle.
And I recently heard somebody who was riding a bike, and they said that their knee surgeon said that to put his seat low, so he's stretching his knees, so you're getting the motion that you need to.
It's like therapy.
Therapy.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's like therapy, and so and it's way more fun to do therapy on a bike outside than it would be in
Who doesn't love riding a bike?
I mean, really? I know it is fun. It is. It is fun, but after about mile 20, I will admit. So as a runner, and I ran marathons, and I ran marathons with Michael's wife, Dawn, who's one of the coaches. And I thought cycling would be relatively easy. And for the most part, the first 20 miles wasn't too bad. The first 10, not bad at all. 10 to 20, I could start to feel it a little bit.
They are different muscles.
It's different muscles, but after mile 20, the work begins on a bike. So you can see why people go for long distance, 100 miles, 200 people.
Yep.
I remember, Heather, when we first started, I'm like, let's do a century.
Yeah, you said, what do people do? What do they want to accomplish?
Right.
I said, well, cyclists want to do a century.
Right.
Okay, we're going to do a century. I'm like, that's 100 miles. Oh, no, we're not going to do it.
It's essentially equivalent to a marathon. It's about a 4-to-1 ratio, bike to running.
Gosh,
So
I
it's
don't
about
know.
right.
Yeah, I guess it probably would, and that's just where the head games. We got a few
Exactly.
minutes left, and I want to talk a little bit about homeostasis because, and you're like, what? Homeostasis? What does that have to do with running and riding? It has a lot to do with it because a worked muscle likes to be worked and an idle muscle likes to be idle, and that's because your body is trying to constantly stay a steady. Homeostasis is your body's desire to stay a constant steady. So whatever you're acclimated to, whatever you're accustomed to, if you put any kind of change on your body, it's going to respond physically or emotionally sometimes. So if you're watching this laying on your couch and you're thinking, yeah, whatever, I lay on my couch, I cannot do it. You can, and the expectations, if you've tried it before and then you couldn't move the next day,
Right.
it's because of homeostasis. It's because your body's like, whoa, what just happened?
Right.
But if you keep at it, your body will get acclimated to exercising and you'll get less and less sore.
Absolutely.
What do you find, Michael? How long does it take for someone to start, when they start the training, because I know you coach kids too in track. So when someone transitions, how long does it take for them to start feeling like, okay, I'm not dying anymore?
Yeah, it's probably in the 6-week range before, and I've had this experience personally. If I take some time off, or I have had some injuries in my running life, so if I had to take 3 months off or something like that, and I'd start running again, even though I'd been running for 10 years, I feel like I've never run before in my life. And it takes me about 6 weeks before I what I call feel like a runner again.
Right.
Before your body sort of gets used to it and gets a little more efficient, and you become getting comfortable. So about 6 weeks is what I would say, depending on the person. But you shouldn't, especially with our beginning program, you shouldn't feel. I would be surprised if you would feel very sore the very next day
Right,
or
'cause
something
it's
like
so
that.
gentle.
Right, because we're just running a little bit at a time and increasing very slowly. So I mean, you'll probably be a little bit sore, but not anything where I can't get out of bed.
Right.
That type of thing.
Yeah. And the training starts Monday, April the 9th at 5:45 out at Clubs of River City. You can get more information about the run or the ride, of course, at I'veDecided.org. And I would say, as far as the soreness when it comes to the body with cycling, your booty.
The posterior.
Yep.
Your booty. That's why you need the padded shorts. And that really happens even just riding 5 to 7 miles. I found 5 miles, my booty was hurting already.
If you're doing it regularly, you get used to
Yep.
it. Your muscles start to adjust for all that attention, and
So now that you've been riding all this time, your booty never hurts?
once I get into 70 or 80 miles, if
Oh,
I'm riding,
okay.
then it's like, okay, come on, let's do something else. But no, riding.
Not for 20, 30,
no.
or 40 miles. So, all right. I hope that maybe you've been a little bit inspired today or encouraged to try something new. That's what we want to do, is just to help you, help make living a healthy lifestyle a little bit easier by sharing some information and a little bit of motivation and encouragement. And these guys are awesome, great coaches, very passionate. So you're in good hands, I promise you. Thanks so much for being on the show. That was a
Absolutely.
quick half hour. See?
Yeah.
That wasn't hard, was it, Heather?
No.
Thanks for joining us, guys. And get registered. Get registered for the Runner Ride. Stick the stake in the ground. Decide to do it today. I'veDecided.org. Thanks. So.
Sorry, the zero went off.
PeoriaLife.com.